our next question today is, we currently use SAP EEC, and in 2025, we are updating to S4HANA. What I'd like to know is, will the user screens be that much different?
Ooh, it's a good question. I'd say yes. I mean, yes and no. I mean, no, in that it's going to have a similar, they do have a similar SAP look and feel, but S4HANA is obviously a refreshed version of it. The biggest difference, though, isn't so much how it looks, it's more the architecture behind it, because it's built on an entirely new architecture and platform. So S4 is built on the HANA platform, which is totally different than what ECC and R3 were using in the past. So that change in architecture, that rewrite of the system, essentially is really changed more of the workflows than anything. And of course, S4HANA brings additional capabilities and functions to the table as well that were not available in ECC, especially now that SAP is sort of basically said that we're going to stop investing in ECC and all of our R&D is going to go to S4HANA. Especially when you look at some of the artificial intelligence and machine learning and some of these new emerging technologies and capabilities they're building into the system, that's going straight into S4HANA now and not into ECC. So you add up all those things, and yes, that's a big change. Maybe the screens themselves aren't the shocking part of it or the hardest part of the change. It's more, I'd say, the functions and the capabilities that are going to be the biggest change for users of the system.
Yeah, for sure. We have one more question today. A lot of different companies implementing different things, so lots of questions about that. Our last question today is, we are currently using Acumatica, but we find it hard to get support for advanced issues. We have our own dev team for Acumatica along with a VAR. We are considering the move to Odoo. We are a medium-sized business, and we are just having an in-house dev team for it. One thing that's frustrating is access to data in Acumatica. Also, the WMS as well as CRM are very basic. Odoo would replace Acumatica, our HR apps, our third-party WMS, our shipping software, Slack, our support tickets and chat, Sugar CRM, and etc. That's what they believe an ERP system should be in their opinion. But Eric, they want your take on what you think about this.
About making that shift to Odoo from
Yeah.
Acumatica?
Yep.
Yep. Well, I think if you've got your own internal team, a dev team or an IT staff that can support your ERP system, which it sounds like this organization has, that's one of the prerequisites for Odoo. Odoo is I don't want to say it's a do-it-yourself sort of a system, but it is, it's open source, and there's more, oftentimes more setup required for an Odoo. But the good news with Odoo is it's very modular. You can sort of break it up into little pieces, and it's easier to implement in pieces or phases rather than having to integrate the entire system all up front. I think ultimately it comes down to, though, I don't have a strong opinion of Odoo over Acumatica just as a generalization, but I do think that depending on what their situation is, you're going to have a clear front runner. It sounds like if they've got some limitations on warehouse management and CRM, as they mentioned, and if Odoo has better capabilities that meet those needs, then it could be a great option. I think Odoo is both Odoo and Acumatica are both up and coming, emerging. They've been around for a long time, but they're sort of entering a higher tier, or, increased market share in the space. So they're both viable contenders. They're both good products, in my opinion, very different products. But if you're finding a gap in one or a deficiency in one and the other one can solve it, then I'd say have at it, especially if you've got the internal IT staff to support the setup and configuration that's required for an open source type of system like an Odoo.